Hi guys. I'll go ahead and get started since it's 8:30. I'm so excited to be doing the team call. This is my first one. I'm a little nervous, but I've got my notes, so hopefully it'll all go well. Can everybody hear me? You guys can hear me, right? Okay, thanks. All right, so my name is Katie Auerhahn, for those of you who don't know me. I'm one of Megan Eggleston's personally sponsored coaches. I am a little bit about me. I have two kids. I have Luke, who's 3.5, and Charlotte, who's about 20 months. I am a stay-at-home mom. If you haven't muted yourself, go ahead and mute yourself too, because I'm recording this, and I guess there's a lot of noise in the recording if you don't. So make sure you mute. So anyways, I'm a stay-at-home mom to my two kids. I was a teacher prior. I only taught for maybe 2 to 3 years in a suburb here in Rochester. And I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom when I had my son. So I resigned. And I guess this is where this all started. I gained a lot of weight with my son and had trouble losing it. And I got turbo fire and lost it all. I loved it, fell in love with all of it. I met Megan when I was newly pregnant with my daughter at the gym where my husband works and she works. And I kind of started following her, and I knew I kind of wanted to jump into the business and the Shakeology part of it after I had my daughter. So about a week after I had her, that's when I signed up to be a coach. I wanted the discount, but I knew I would eventually do the business side of it. And maybe 3 months later is when I ran my first 5-day group. I'm a diamond coach. I hit diamond about 1.5 years after I became a coach. And I think I'll talk about this more, but I did my business a little bit differently. I did it consistently, but I didn't put a ton of time in each day. And I'll talk about that more. So I hit diamond in February of this past year. So now I want to just get into the meat of the call, how to effectively use your time and to get what you want out of the business. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I think it's so important, and I did this a long time ago. I did this a little over a year ago with my husband, is kind of reverse engineer, and you have to think about what you want out of it before you can decide what you need to do to get there. And you need to be super specific. How much money do you want to be making? What's important to you? Is being recognized on the leaderboard, is that important to you? Do you want to be recognized every week? What do you want your life to look like from this business? What kind of income do you need? And look specifically, how will your life be different if you have $500 extra a week or $1,000 extra a week? Really paint that picture. And if you need to talk to your upline about that, I think that is so important to set those goals for yourself and what you want to get out of the business. Only then, I feel like you can really decide what you need to put into it and how to use your time effectively. And this changes. I mean, recently I feel like mine has changed drastically from what it was a year ago. So it's not something that's set in stone forever. It's something that you need to be changing and looking at and going over in your mind almost every day. Taking that one step further, for me, I wrote a mission statement with my husband, and we kind of paired the family life and the business together to see what we wanted to do with it. And it's changed. It changes all the time. But think about doing that, and from there, then you'll be able to decide how much time you can realistically put into this and what you'll need to put into this in order to get out what you want to get out. Next step, how much time can you realistically put in? Do you work full-time? Do you have young children? What do your responsibilities look like? At night when you get home from work, are you totally whipped that you only have half an hour to an hour? Or can you sit down and take some time after dinner? Do you have to wait till your kids are in bed? So you really think about what that time looks like for you. Can you work during the day? What does your time look like for this business? Once you know what kind of time you have, I really encourage you to set your business hours. Set hours and stick to them. We preach it in our groups about working out. Set that time, schedule that time to work out, and don't cancel. Bosses don't cancel. I think that if you don't set those business hours, your mind will be all over the place. Your business will be all over the place. And you're going to feel like your mind is going in a million directions all the time. It can get so overwhelming. I mean, I look at all your faces. I know a bunch of you. I know a lot of you are working, you have small children or older children. I mean, your lives are pulling you in 1,000 different directions. And this is just one more thing. When your phone beeps all day long and you're like, oh, I have a new message. I got to answer that one. I got to add new contacts. I mean, this business is so hard to run that way. I think you really need to set those business hours in order to be effective, in order to move forward. And we all tell you that, I know, but I think you really try hard to do that. And if you can only do half an hour a night, then schedule that half an hour. And maybe one night you'll have the extra half an hour and you can put an hour in. Schedule that time and be consistent with it. Sometimes it takes some sacrifice to get where you want. If you wrote down your goals and you want to be diamond by 2016, the beginning of 2016, then you might have to sacrifice a little time here and there with friends or whatever in order to reach that goal. This is a job just like going to a job. This is a job. Once you've established the amount of hours and when they're going to be, choose a place where you can do it where it's distraction free. This is something that I'm just learning how to do. We live in a very small house. We have an office set up in our bedroom, and there's distractions everywhere. If I'm working with my kids awake, it's crazy. If I'm working at night, I feel like, I want to talk to my husband. He's working out. What's he doing? My mom's calling. It's craziness. Recently, I've been going to where my husband works. There's a little daycare and dropping my kids off and sitting in the cafe and working. And it is like night and day. I can't believe I've missed out on this all this time. It is crazy what a distraction-free place will do for you. Crazy. So if you can find a distraction-free place, find one and set yourself up and do the work there. You will be so much more effective if you can do that. So now you have your time, you have your place, you know how much time you're going to put in and what your business hours are going to be. So what's next? Okay, so here's some action steps for you. When you sit down to do your business hours, always make a list. Even if it takes 10 minutes up of your half an hour or your hour that you're going to do, always make a list of things you need to do in that time that you're going to be working. Then you need to prioritize them. You may not get to everything. I mean, just like every job, I remember the last thing I taught was summer school before I had my son, and I remember thinking I could stay here till 6 o'clock and still not be done with what I want or need to do. It's the same thing with this. Prioritize so you do the most important things first. There are certain things that are going to drive your business forward, and we all know what those are, right? Making the new contacts, reaching out to those people, expanding your network every single day. That should be like top priority. Sit down, put that on top of your list because you're going to do that first. Just like that power hour sheet. If you don't have the power hour sheet, or if you're making your way through the new coach training, you'll have it eventually. Always make those new contacts. Then at the end, that's when you do the more fun things, like create the ad, those kinds of things. Creating the ad and that kind of stuff is a lot of fun, and a lot of us are perfectionists. We want it to look perfect. But that's not what's going to move your business forward. What's going to move your business forward is making those contacts. Filling those groups is not going to come from the perfect ad. It's going to come from you making contacts, building those relationships. So that's why that's so important to prioritize your time. And if you only have 10 minutes left at the end, take that 10 minutes, do that last thing, whatever it is, the ad or whatever, and then move on. Don't get hung up on the messages. I think this is the biggest thing that's distracting and makes your time so much less effective when you sit down and you're like, oh, let me answer all these messages that have come in all day. People can wait, I promise. They're not staring at their phones like we do all day. We're all checking our phones to see who's messaging us back. The regular person's not on Facebook and on their messages all day long. So they'll send you a message and it's okay if you don't get back to them. If you open, it'll say read. Sometimes I just don't open them until I'm ready to really sit down and answer a person. Set some time for answering those messages. You don't have to be a coach all day, every day. People can wait. I promise they will be there. So make sure you do set a time to answer them, but it doesn't have to be every second of every day. And it doesn't have to be your whole power hour. And it shouldn't be your whole power hour or however long you're putting in. The last thing number 4 is to make sure that you unplug after you're done. I think we want to be constantly working on this, and it can take over your life. I've let it happen to myself before, where I like eat, sleep, and dream Beachbody stuff. But if you're not taking time to put your phone down and unplug, I think it's going to make you a less effective coach. I think it's going to make you a less effective mom, a less effective wife, whatever you are. So really take that time, and we always tell our challengers that you can't be a good, wife or whatever. You're a better mom if you take time to work out. It's the same thing with this. I think you need to, when you're done with your hour or your 2 hours or your half an hour, put your phone down and be done. And then schedule again for your business hours. I think that's so important. I think you'll be a better business person if you do that. It also gives parameters to your challengers and your people that you're going to answer their questions for sure, but you're going to do it when you're working. It's not like a constant back and forth. I think that's so important. So just to summarize, decide what you want, write down your goals, be really specific, visualize your life, schedule business hours. So important. Make it distraction free. Stick to them, even if you need to sacrifice. I listened to a call by Scotty Hobbs maybe 3 months ago, who talked a lot about this. He talked about like giving up going out with his baseball buddies or something in order to work at night on his Beachbody business. And now his baseball friends are coaches, and they're like in Cancun staying extra weeks and all kinds of stuff. So that like hit home for me. Like today I said no to a play date with a good friend because I knew I wanted to go to where my husband works and sit down and do my Beachbody work and get it done. So you might have to make those sacrifices if you want something out of this. During your work time, make a list. Prioritize that list. Do the most important things first. Schedule time to answer your messages and stick to it. Unplug from the business and be consistent. That's like my number 1 is being consistent. So I think that's everything that I have for you. Who has questions? We've got some time for questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. So I like how you said to set business hours and that people would know your expectations. Mm-hmm. Do you communicate that to your clients that these are your business hours so they know that's when you would be like getting back with them?
Good question. I don't. Someone else asked me this a while ago when I kind of encouraged them to do this. I don't, but I will say, like, if someone asks me like a question that's kind of time sensitive or whatever, and let's say I don't see it and don't get back to them, I'll say, oh, I was with my kids or whatever during that time. I wasn't working during that time, so that they know. I usually will let like my partner Diana, we work together in groups. Like I'll let her know, or she'll let me know when we're gonna be like MIA for a while, so we can kind of jump in and take care of each other's people. But so no, I don't. But I think I've talked to some of my coaches about it and let them know, when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, and I might not get back to them super fast. So I do let my coaches know.
Okay.
Anyone else?
What do you set your business hours at?
Right now, they've recently changed, and I'm like so excited about it because my life is so much better. I go to the gym where my husband works at a gym, which is so weird. So I go to the gym where he works, and I usually work between 9:30 and 12. Those are my business hours. Now, at night, you probably know, people are on at night, like people are messaging, whatever. So I build relationships at night, but my time in the morning is for like creating like stuff for my coaches and getting stuff like this ready, doing the ads, doing my power hour, that kind of thing. So those are mine. I'm doing like 2.5 hours in the morning, and then I do a little bit at night because I mean, you guys have probably find this, that people are just on at night and they're talking, and like that's when the relationship building's like coming on. But I do feel like if I get it done in the morning, like the hard part is done. So if at night like something goes on with my kids, or I'm tired, or I have to work out or whatever, I don't feel like I haven't done like my need to do work. I will say that if I didn't have this, like if my husband left his job, I didn't have this, I think I would consider hiring someone for my kids at this point. Like that's how life-changing it's been. Like I feel like this weight has been lifted, that I'm not working at night. I'm not like trying to do like build the contacts and all that stuff. It's not like, I can do the dishes at night or fold my laundry. Like I feel like I have some of my life back, and it's been like very, very eye-opening for me. And I'm the mom who was like, I'm not leaving my kids without anyone. Like my mom can watch them if I'm down the street. Like I'm crazy about it. So that's how life-changing it's been.
Good for you.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'll ask a question. So I struggle with making the contacts because I feel like it gets kind of awkward to just randomly, just say, hey, how are you? And start that conversation, because I know during the power hour, you're supposed to try and add 2 to 3 new people to your friends list and stuff. And I was the person who would block everybody who requested to be friends with me before Beachbody, because I hated people that I knew in high school, and now they want to just, be voyeuristic and look at my life. So I would not accept their friend requests. So now I am, because I'm trying to expand my network, but it's just not natural sometimes. I mean, I've definitely gotten into natural conversations of just like, hey, how have you been? What are you doing? And then I say what I'm doing, but that's not consistent every single day. So I just don't know. I'm stuck with, how do you get contacts, how do you communicate, and how do you even get people that you don't know? Aside from the 5-day, I know that you can get people to invite friends in the 5-day clean eating, and you can connect that way, but I didn't know if you had any other kind of tips for that.
Sure. And I don't consider this necessarily like my strongest area, but what I do, and I don't have a like page yet, I use only my profile page, but I go through friends list. Like I've gone through my husband's entire friends list, and like added friends that way. And I was just telling somebody today, a lot of people don't accept it. I go back through and delete people who haven't accepted. Today I went through my very best friends list and tried to friend people that way. I will ask for referrals. Like if I feel like I'm low on contacts, I'll ask challengers for referrals. What else? Groups, like Facebook groups. If I like, if I'm feeling like I'd have nobody to add one day, I'll go into like a Facebook group that feels natural, like a mom chat or something, and start kind of communicating with people, maybe, kind of naturally, organically, like not necessarily about Beachbody, but I'm into mom swap pages. I'm like, for example, right now I'm looking for a suit for my son. So anyone, like I'll post in there about a suit, and if people, respond to me, even if I don't like what they, one lady gave me like a picture of a tux that I'm not really looking for, I'll still friend request her, that kind of thing. As far as like reaching out and connecting, like you could reach out and just say like, oh, if someone accepts your friend request, just say, oh, thanks for the ad or whatever. Maybe look at their profile and see some way that you guys connect, like, I don't know, your kids are so cute, how old is your daughter, or something like that. Something that feels at least sort of natural to you.
Mm-hmm.
How else for contacts? I don't know. I used to kind of think back on my life's, like the chapters of my life, and think if there was anyone that I'm missing that maybe, I didn't connect with from years ago. Like, I don't know, some people from my sorority that I, haven't talked to in years, like that kind of thing. even like liking and commenting on friends that you already have will kind of bring you to like the forefront of their mind. And I've had a lot of success that way too. If I start liking or commenting on someone's picture of their dog that I haven't talked to in years and years and years, like I've had a lot of success with people coming to me privately and chatting with me. Some people have become customers, some haven't. But I think like it kind of opens the door in a less pressured way than sending a message. Not that sending a message is, that's great, and I think that it's definitely applicable in a lot of situations. But starting to like and comment on them, that'll get your stuff in their news feed as well. What else? I mean, if you're making posts public and you get some likes from people who you're not friends with, I usually check and see if it's like, a coach's contact already. And then, but I'll friend request them if it's like a girlfriend's, cousin or something.
Kristen, are you doing 5-day groups?
Yes.
When you do them, I've been doing this about 6-7 months, and I just recently learned this. So when you set your group up, are you making it public?
I just heard Jen in the last call say that. So you know what? It's funny because I have to double check that because I'm just advertising because my group is starting Monday. So I need to double check that my post is public right now.
Yeah. So when you set up your event, so there's events and then there's groups. So when you set your event, I didn't do this. I made it private because I was like, oh, it needs to be private. But no, your event should be public and make like the catchiest like title you can. Mine this month was release junk in the trunk or something like that, or get rid of junk in the trunk. And I got 6 new contacts that just randomly found me on Facebook because of like the catchy thing. But and I'm not really good at planning ahead, and I'm trying to get a lot better at it. But check that, because you have to go through the process of letting them know you have to friend request them. But literally, I've gotten at least 15 new contacts like that. And they're instantly like-minded people, and you don't have to like scout them out because they came to you. So that's a good thing. And then just also think about, because if you were such the guarded person before, what got you in? So, just kind of maybe go that direction too. Because I feel like you sometimes, I'm like, I don't have anybody else. But then when I started doing kind of these things, and Katie, thank you very much for that. If somebody likes one of your posts that you don't know, oh my goodness, I never even thought to like go to their page and see how they're connected to me or how they knew. That's a good tip there.
Yeah.
I don't get a ton, but on my profile, I think you get more of that on a like page, which is cool. But Kristen, were you doing events, public events before?
I don't think that I was. I never paid attention to that. And then I heard Jen McNeil's call a couple weeks ago. So that's what I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I do that, because I'll be setting up my event, in the next day or so.
Yeah, I mean, that's like my biggest way to get new contacts. Absolutely. When you create the event, you have to make it public in the initial step. If you don't, I think someone was trying to do this the other day. I think you have to go back and recreate it. So it's like the initial, like when it first pops up to create it, make it public.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. And thanks, Katie.
Yes, thank you, Kristen, for jumping in. Anyone else?
Talking.
Good. Anyone else have questions or anything?
Can you hear me?
When you were talking about business hours and you do your business stuff like ads and everything in the morning, you connect at night. So that's the only time that you're connecting with people is at night. And for how long? Do you do it for an hour at night?
Good question. I'm kind of all over the place with that, depending on how many people I'm touching base with. I'm openly not the most organized person. But I'm pretty much set on connecting just at night. Like if someone shoots me a question during the day and like my kids are watching TV and I'm doing dishes, I might pick it up and, see what the question is or whatever. But mostly as far as like real connections with like relationships, that it's all happening at night. Like that's where I'm like, answering messages back. Like if someone messages me, recently I had someone message me about who saw a post and was interested in the business or whatever, and that's where I'm like writing out long posts to her. Or that's where I'm sending like YouTube videos, when you have to like craft a response, it's not just like a quick message back. That's where I'm doing those kind of messages. And that's really only because that's when people are on. If I can do that in the morning, I will. Or like that's where our little 5-day group, we chat a lot about what's going to happen. Like that's where we're all kind of chatting and, planning for the next day and that kind of thing. So kind of all over the place. I mean, it's not set, that's for sure. I might answer a few and watch a show with my husband and then answer a few again in bed or whatever. So It's kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm. You said about not checking your messages at night, because I just saw a training on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it for like the last 3 or 4 days, and it's really awesome to not messages all day long. And I'm considering not taking off my messenger alerts because I want to be connected with you and my coaches, but Facebook notifications, just because it does drive me crazy. And the training said that if people connect, like you do your thing in the morning, and if you have to about some feelers or whatever, and then people message you through the day and you respond at night, then it shows up again in their feed at night. So it already shows, and then again in the evening, instead of back to back where it gets lost.
Oh,
So,
great point.
yeah, it's been really like, I'm like, it'll be there. And then when I sit down to do it, it's really not a big deal.
Right.
It's just likes or whatever, and you're just kind of, putting as mark read, and so.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you feel like you're a slave to your phone for a long time in the beginning of, like when I was first starting this business, but it really doesn't have to be that way. I think if you set that time to answer the messages, the rest of your time is so much more effective, and you're a better coach and business person because of it. Great.
And like you said, like a lot of people aren't on Facebook like we are. So hey, we feel like we have to get to them right away, but they really can't wait because they're expecting a response right away, unless they say so. But
yeah,
that was big for me for you to say that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I see like some of my friends or whatever. I mean, they're not like checking their messages in Facebook all day long like we are. They don't even expect it. So absolutely, you don't have to be instantly answering people. You're not going to lose sales or anything, I don't think. And if you are, they're probably not a good customer or coach for you anyway. So yeah, thank you. We have a couple minutes left. Anyone else have any questions or comments or anything?
Katie, can you elaborate a little bit more on creating your mission statement and goals?
Absolutely. A couple people have asked me this. So a year ago is when I wrote my mission statement for the first time, and now it has changed drastically, and I haven't like done a new one, but everything has kind of changed. So a year ago, I wanted to, my mission statement, I won't like share it directly, but what it was I didn't want to sacrifice family time for my business, but I still wanted to be successful. I know it's like, how does that happen? But what I wanted to do was work at night when my kids were sleeping. I didn't want to even take time like when my husband got home from work to do it. But I wanted to take that time at night. Like I didn't want to do other things. I didn't want to be distracted by housework or laundry or anything like that. So we kind of chatted about that and agreed that that's how we were going to do it. So he was going to pick up some of that slack. I mean, he's awesome. He does lots of stuff. I don't mean to paint him in that light, but we kind of chatted about all that stuff, and everything kind of fell into that place. When we talked about certain things, for example, a family vacation that was during like a super Saturday, and I was like, oh, I was bummed I couldn't go. It was like a short like weekend trip. And I was like, well, maybe we could leave a couple days later. But I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to sacrifice that time to do that. Now it has changed. So, I want to make sure that's clear, and I'm pushing for different things and I have different goals. But at the time, I was really on my own timeline. So that's where like that reverse engineering came in for me, starting with that mission statement, kind of working backwards as to what I wanted. I didn't have like a diamond goal date. I didn't have like a monetary like set thing in mind. But now that I do, everything would look different. And I think that's what's important with like looking at all aspects of it, like the leaderboard. Like, is it important for you to be on that leaderboard every week, or are you not that kind of competitive person? And at that time, I don't consider myself a competitive person at all. But now I kind of want to show my team that what I'm doing. So, I mean, I don't know, it's changed. So I think you really need to look at everything. As far as like earning potential goes, you know what's going to be life changing for you, what's going to make this worth it, and then your upline can help you set goals and how much time you should put into the business. So that's kind of where my mission statement came in. At this point, we've been thinking about a new one because everything looks so much different now. But I'm going to say that it would be much more focused on my goal for this year rather than not sacrificing family time. Not that I don't know if that makes sense, but I think I'm more effective with my family now that I have those missing hours and take a little time away. And my kids are older now. My daughter was a newborn then, now she's almost 2. Everything has changed. So I think that changes all the time. I think you need to revisit it and then work backwards in order to set your time and your hours and what you want to get out of it. Does that answer your question, Sarah? I feel like I rambled.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? All right, well, I think we are almost, we only have we have 4 minutes. If anyone has any more questions. Anyone have one short question? Comments?
What was your final push to get to Diamond?
Good question. My final push to get to Diamond. Well, I had passed up my goal date by a couple of months, and I was pretty not disappointed in myself, but I knew I needs to happen now. And I think I'm going to be honest and say, so I started in October after my daughter was born in 2013. And then I really started actively working the business that following September, so almost a year later. I mean, I was doing things and once in a while hitting Success Club, but it took me like a year. I mean, I just told my coaches last night on a call that I literally didn't hit Success Club until I was 8 months in to the business. And when I started being consistent. And then September, I really started working the business, and that's when I was like, I want Diamond, I want to go for it. And that's when I set my business hours for the nighttime as well. So I was like, I'm going to work every night at 8:30. Kids have to be in bed, no more, whatever. They have to go to bed, and I've got to do my hours. And then, watching other people who work sort of started around the same time as me, hitting Diamond, I'm like, oh, I should do it. I should be able to do it. So that was my final push. And I was one of my things was waiting for an emerald. And I think that was great because I got to work closely with my coaches and kind of step up as a leader as well. So despite the fact that I was waiting for it, it was also good to put myself in that role. You're close, right, Kristen?
I'm close, man, but I gave myself an aggressive goal and I passed it up. Yeah, same thing, but as you said, I wasn't ever consistent, and I just now started being consistent with my 5 days, and I do 21 days. And I can see 2 months in that will be the game changer. So it'll come.
Absolutely. That consistency is so important. That's why even if it's half an hour a day, do it. Stick to it.
Yeah.
Make it.
Everybody have
in stone.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Everybody have a success partner in the group?
I have Sarah. I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's been really great too. If you don't have a success partner, get one. That's a good thing, like a good relationship to have. Someone who's kind of on the same level as you. You guys can share. It's different from like a mentorship. It should be someone who you guys are sharing ideas and pushing each other. And
Deanna, do you have a Success Club partner or a success partner?
What's that?
Do you have one?
It's Katie.
Oh, good for you. Lucky you.
that's right. She's close to Diamond too.
Yay.
But yeah, I know that once I'm a lot like Katie. I'm like, oh, very relaxed, whatever. And when we became success partners is when I really started wanting to, move forward. And she pushes me, and I don't know, it's just really, you have somebody to vent to. They totally understand where you're coming from, and
She's the organized one of the two of us.
we have our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, get a success partner if you don't have one to hold you accountable. That's awesome. All right, well, I don't want anyone to get cut off, so thank you guys all. I hope it was helpful. And have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Katie.